We're back. Episode 30. It's actually a sort of a milestone one.
30. Big 30.
I don't know if it's a good thing, man. Big 30.
It's all downhill after 30, so
I don't know about that, my friend. We got Huey here today, so we'll introduce our guest rather than being rude. But welcome, Huey. How are you?
Hey guys, how you going? Good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm pretty sure you are. I could be fucking wrong here, but you are older than 30.
No.
Fuck.
So funnily enough, you guys were saying episode 30. I'm almost there. So
Almost there. All right. So don't listen to Justin. It gets better after 30 sometimes.
nah, it doesn't. When people tell you it's like a fine wine, nah, it's not true.
Is this just because you're saying you got fucking knee pain and shit?
I got pain everywhere, brother.
Can't even get to a bucket seat anymore. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, brother. Nah. Can't even get in and out of cars anymore.
Oh, I hope that's not the case for Huey. I'm sure he'll be fine. You're relatively fit. You play soccer and stuff. I think you'll be fine.
Oh, I don't know. I'm getting there. You know,
Oh, shit.
30's creeping up. I'm feeling back pains. Can't do low cars, loud noises anymore. You know, it's all coming to me.
Oh no, you're changing. Are you going to drive like a
I'm
carry
changing.
hybrid soon?
Well, I just bought a Jazz. Funnily enough, that you say that. Literally like 2 days ago. So
Oh yeah,
if
what
that's
gen?
not growing up, I don't know what is. It's the GE series, the Vibe S.
Oh yeah, nice. So that's the later one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the later one, automatic, top of the range, you know, just dad
Right.
things.
I'm pretty sure the top of the range Jazz is still bottom of the barrel, really, eh?
Range Jazz is, you're right, bottom of the barrel. Fair,
Nah, it's a sensible choice. It's a sensible choice.
Yeah, my mum's got a GD Jazz. I'm pretty
Oh, yeah.
sure. And yeah, like it's fun to whip around and whatnot, but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's pretty gutless. But if it's a daily, then I don't think you really need
Really?
too much power, eh?
Yeah, no, it's funny because like a lot of people are familiar with the GD series, I guess. They're the ones that people use with Nugget Nationals, got the 1.5 liter VTEC. So it's peppy, but yeah, I just wanted something different. So I looked into the GEs. They're a bit newer, they're a bit bigger, looks better, worse. I don't know. Up to you. It depends on the person, to be honest.
Yeah.
But something unique, I guess. It's something different.
Yeah.
In the GD. So
It's got a bit of that FK8 styling, eh, with the front grille and things.
it really does. More like an EP3, I'd say. But yeah, it's still built in Japan at the time. So
That's all
It's a
that
great
matters,
car.
right? If it's from Japan, it's fucking sick.
JDM, yo.
yeah, that's it.
Cool. So we'll actually go into how I met Huey. So this was back in the days when I was repping Melbourne, back in South Bank, working at Crown, the casino, in IT. That was good times, good fun. So I joined it was the IT operations team at the time, and I'm pretty sure I hadn't interacted much with you, but I joined as a supervisor, and one of the first things I think we talked about was you came and sat on my fucking desk, and you're like, I hear you're a car guy. And that was sort of it.
Yep. Through the whispers of the IT teams, I guess, I just heard, oh, we got a new supervisor and he has an FK8. And that's
That
all
was
I
it.
needed to start the conversation. So
Yeah, man. I mean, it was good times. I think it's the good thing about cars, I think in general, is it's just a common ground for people to get to know each other. And if you know someone's a car guy, it's just so much easier to have a conversation. Start it off with that and then go from there.
Yeah, but then you find out that they're into a different type of car than you, and then it just ends up being a rivalry. You know, like Holden versus Ford, you know, you're like, oh, you're a Ford guy? Fuck you then.
Oh, mate.
But it's all right because you guys are both Honda guys, so it's all good.
Ish. Yes, I would say. Hugh's got a bit more JDM flair to him. He's got an S15 as well.
Oh!
So I think you've won Justin over already.
Damn. I can forgive the Jazz now.
Nice. So did you always know that you wanted to work in IT, or was it something that you sort of stumbled upon?
no, not really, to be honest. Like out of school, you know, just wanted to enjoy myself and dabble in a few different things, and then kind of, you know, settled down and was like, I should probably take these things seriously now. So my brother was in IT as well, so I guess I kind of looked up to him as a role model, really.
Yeah.
And got my foot in the door with IT operations because I was a dealer before I got into IT operations. But yeah, I think because my brother was a role model to me, and then just seeing how he's grown up with his kids and family and stuff like that, and the career path that he took, I guess that made me kind of want to go down the same path. And yeah, it ended up in IT, and it's where I am now. It's where I still am. So
Nice.
enjoying it. Good.
Sweet. Is your brother older than you, man?
Yes, I got two brothers. One's 3 years older than me.
Yep.
And another one that's 10 years older than me. He's the one in IT.
Okay, cool. Do you know what type of IT he does? Is it hard to explain?
Like the
National
GM of
security.
IT company, I'd say.
Okay. National security.
As far as I know, I never wanted to dabble in too far, but
Yeah, fair enough.
as far as I know, he's the GM of his IT in his company.
In his company. Yeah. Cool. Nice. That's awesome, man. So dealing at Crown, that would have been an experience. I mean, like night shifts and whatnot. I know working security was a bit of a fucking clusterfuck at times, but I can imagine dealing was also an interesting experience. How long were you doing that for?
I think I was in there for about a year and a half. I think 2 years is the deadline for any dealer. Like anyone listening that can relate. Like I feel like you hit that 2 year mark and you're like, I can either keep doing this or nah, screw this, I'm out. Because like some of the stuff you see, the hours, like yes, it was flexible. It was good. Like as a uni student at that time, it's good money, and it's flexibility as well. Like if you didn't want to work the next day, you just palm it off to someone else. And it's not like you call in sick and it's like a big deal because they have so many dealers. So the flexibility was amazing and the pay was good for the time, paid for the car mods, so
Nice.
that was great. But just the environment, I couldn't stay in there any longer than that. Just standing at a table for 2 hours at a time before there's any breaks. It's kind of like a brain dead job, I guess.
Yep.
Myself when I was in that role, like I just feel like I could do more and I needed to do more. I couldn't just stand there and just play the brain dead character. So
yep.
Yeah, that's why I got out. But for the time, look, it was a good introduction kind of role, and it ended up helping me getting into IT as like a stepping stone anyway, because I was already in Crown. So don't regret it.
Nice.
It's definitely an interesting role for sure.
Yeah, and then I guess it prepares you for in IT at Crown. There's at least shift work, the component of that as well. So if you're used to doing your nights and your days or whatever, like it helps you a little bit, just get used to that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. That was a rough time, shift work.
Oh mate. Man. Yeah, I'm glad I did my time and got the fuck out because it's not a long-term career thing, and I really do feel sorry for people who do shift work as a gig.
Yeah.
And like
at least if they do it, like they should get a loading and stuff like that. That's the reason why they work. But obviously at that time we didn't. I think they're fighting for it now, but I hope they get it, to be honest, because it's not easy work.
No, definitely not. Especially if you're doing solo shifts and stuff, and someone calls in sick. I mean, that's where it gets really pressure is on, and if something breaks, well, fuck.
You know all about it, hey Trev. Like when you joined,
that's pretty much how I made a name for myself. Really, just whenever shit broke, just be the person that people can kind of rely on, get people together and fix shit. That's kind of what I do for a job still. So can't complain, man. But awesome. Like you're not doing shift work anymore, which I think is probably a good thing. And you've stepped into cyber, yeah?
Yes, I'm in cyber now. So I think since you left, was I in the business team when you left?
Yeah, I think you just joined when I did.
Yeah, so I just joined the business team. There's a lot of restructures, interesting things happening around with the Blackstone takeover and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to stay in the team, see what interests me. And luckily enough, close friends with Daniel Time, so another car nerd.
Yeah, they come around.
Just started to talk to him about the role and get more information because I was curious, but I just didn't know how to, get my foot in the door. But glad I shot my shot, I guess, and I spoke to Dan, and then I've been in cyber since and been loving it. It's a growing industry, and there's a lot changing, so something to learn every day. So it's been good.
It's a good industry to be in, especially if you've got expensive hobbies. Not going to lie. That's how I pay for my car habits, to be honest.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, so if anyone is looking at things like, what do I do for a career if I want to support very expensive car hobbies, IT is not a bad gig.
Yeah, for sure. I can agree with that.
Nice. Cool. So we'll move into your first car and how you learned to drive, if you remember all this. Hopefully you do.
How I learned to drive. Okay. I guess my brother was a big influence on me getting into cars and learning to drive. I guess he had a manual car. I think it was a Mazda 323 at the time.
Oh, yes.
I saw it as a shit box, to be honest with you, but at the time he had that Mazda 323 and he had a Mazda 6 that was modified. And he'd never drive the Mazda 6, and I never understood why. And he used to always say things like, "Oh, there's no point. I'm going to park it here. It's going to get scratched. Petrol's more. I've got to put 98 and it's more expensive." And I just never understood it as a kid. Right now we do to some point, but back then he just always used to take that 323 everywhere. That was his daily pretty much. And before I even got my hours, I'd say I'd want to dabble in and, you know, try and learn and drive and try and understand how the car actually works, right? Like I think we've all been there. Either when our dad's driving, our brother's driving, we're trying to change gears for them and just trying to understand like how it actually all works. So yeah, that's where it all started. I just learnt off my brother. But yeah, first car, working at Macca's, that was tough. I kind of didn't really have, you know, at 18, everyone's going out clubbing and partying and stuff. I was kind of just like weirdly, oddly saving up for a car. I don't know. Like I just really had my mindset on a specific car that I wanted, and I wasn't going to stop until I got that car. So I guess overnight shifts started for me back when I was like 15, 16 at Macca's, because overnight shifts were, I guess, easier in my mind, because like normally if you're doing day shifts, you'd finish school at like 3 o'clock and then go to work straight into the peak of it, and you're just busy from 4 o'clock to like 11 o'clock when your shift ends. And I just like, what's the point? I filled in for one overnight shift and it was pretty chilled, and then I was like, not going back after that. So I just did a bunch of overnight shifts to save up for the car, and ended up getting a sort of dream car at the time, which is a Integra Type R DC5.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so it was a bit out of my price range. The initial one that I wanted that was an AU spec DC5, but it came up. It was a little bit out of my budget, and I just did everything I could to try and make it work, because it was a special model. If you search it up, it's like there's probably about 4 or 5 of these in Australia, because they're a personally imported car, so you could only bring it in after you've owned it overseas for more than a year.
Yep.
So this guy, I think he owned it. It was in Japan. He imported it to Ireland, and then from Ireland he moved to Australia.
Okay.
So yeah, I bought that off him and did the typical P-plater stuff, you know, like everyone was telling me this car's a gem, you know, don't do anything to it, don't modify it, just keep it as it is, and one day you'll sell it for a lot of money. And I'm just like, as a P-plater, like, what do you mean? Like, this is my car. I'm going to do whatever I want to it. You know? Like it's my first car. I want to dabble in everything. I want to start touching everything, modifying everything, doing everything to it. So
yeah,
which I now do regret. I understand where those people were talking about, but at the same time, I would never have the experiences that I did with that car if I didn't do it the way that I did. So still an amazing car. I think 8 years on, I had a chance to buy it back and I didn't. And now I fully regret that because it's gone into the abyss. I don't know where it is. I've been trying to track down the owner and I just can't find him. Can't find it. So I regret that because not everyone has their chance to buy back their initial first car, you know, like, so should have done it at the time, but stars didn't align. So yeah, but it was a great car.
Yeah. And then you've had a subsequent DC5 as well, right? At one point.
Yes. I think I have a love for the DC5s. I don't know if it was just my first car or it's just something about the shape, the practicality, the uniqueness at the time, because a lot of when people think about Integra Type R, they straight away think of the DC2 Type R, right? Like that's the legendary one. No one really thinks about the DC5. So at the time, growing up into the age that I wanted something a little bit more modern because my brother actually had a DC2 VTIR at that time. And I was driving that around on my L's. And I was like, it's a bit old, you know, the interior is a bit dated. And when I jumped into the DC5, I was like, wow, the interior is way better. It's bigger. It's more practical. I didn't think about, you know, the whole handling aspect and the suspension geometry and all that stuff that the nerds will tell you about what the difference between the models. But at the time, I just wanted something more modern, a little bit more unique. And that's why I went for the DC5s. And I've just loved them ever since. So like you said, I've had, I think, about four now since that initial one.
Nice.
Some I bought and just flipped. Some I bought and took to the track. But yeah, my latest one is actually up for sale now. So I don't know if I should buy it back, but I'll leave it there for a bit and I'll think about it. But
yeah,
it's not as nice as my initial car, so that's why I'm not like straight away jumping on it. But it was a track car. I think you've seen it, like the red one.
Yeah.
Actually, I know I took you around the track in that.
Yes.
I remember.
I'm pretty sure that was the year I joined ops. So then I happened to go to Honda Nats with Chase and the RevZone guys. That was that year that they won their class, and then I came in for a passenger lap with you. I'm pretty sure as well.
Yeah.
That was sick. Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah. What sort of inspired you to get into taking your car to the track?
I guess just in general, just driving. Like, driving on the street, there's only so much you can do. Going on a mountain run, there's only so much you can do. Like, it's not worth losing your license. Like, at that point of my life, like, our jobs depended on it, our lives depended on it. I was going out for mountain runs like every second weekend with my mates and stuff like that. And it's just not kind of worth it if you got caught and lost your license, in my mind. So what's the next best thing, right? It's taking it to the track. And I've always saw the track as like this barrier of money, I guess, is involved, and you need to set your car up a certain way and have the appropriate skills to be able to even go. Until one week, like, my mate just said, "I'm YOLO, I'm going, and do you want to come?" And I jumped on the bandwagon. It was I think it was a fun day at Winton. So Winton throws these like I guess beginner friendly track days where it's a very low entry fee, $50 I think it was at the time when I first went, compared to the $250 it would be to go to a normal track day. But a fun day is essentially no cap, as many cars as you want, no sessions, open track, just go out there and have fun. And that's what I did for the first time with the DC5 with my mates, and it was like one of the best experiences we've ever had, like just actually driving together on the track and having no restrictions. So I think that's really what got me into it. And I've always been into F1 and motorsport and stuff, so it's the closest you're going to get to going like a racing car driver, right? So
yeah, I mean, I guess the limit is talent and money.
Yes.
The two things that, if you start a bit later in life, it's very hard to make up for those two if you don't start earlier. So yeah, I agree, man. Those fun days are a really good way, or let's say, good way to get into it as well. I think they're still relatively cheap, like $50 even.
Yeah, surprisingly, I saw another one that's coming up in April 7th, so a couple of months away. I'm actually trying to get all the IT guys in that group chat that you know about to go.
That'll be good.
Because it's still cheap. It's I think from the last time I went, it was $50 a day. I think now it's $80. So it hasn't gone up that much, depending on like actual track days have gone up hundreds of dollars. But the fun days, they've still kept relatively cheap. So we'll try our best to try and get out to that next track day in April. So
nice. So you've done Winton, you've done Sandown, I'm guessing. I think you have. No?
No, I've been to Sandown, but I've never done it. No.
Huh. What's stopping you, good sir?
My car. Honestly, when I think about Sandown, I think you need, it's like a barrier that I put in my head that I shouldn't have, but I think you need a high-powered car to have fun in that track, because like they're two very long straights. Like I feel like if I went down that straight in one of my Hondas, it would just fall apart or something, like, and I just wouldn't have as much fun because it's not as technical as, say, Winton or Broadford or one of those tracks, I never tried, but I know they're potentially closing it down soon. So it is on my bucket list to try and get out to a track day there before they eventually do close, which is quite frustrating because in Melbourne we already have a limited number of tracks, especially close to the city like that. But it's just annoying that the neighbours, people that have bought houses in that area, knowing there's a racetrack there, but then to complain that there's a racetrack there now and the noise is too loud and we need to get rid of it. Just blows my mind that that's even a situation, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll go into the car list that you've got, because I'm pretty sure, do you still have the FK8?
Yes. So I've got a couple cars. So right now I've got an EG Civic, 94 EG Civic, a red one.
Yep.
So that car I bought with the intention of turning it into a track car. At the time, it was club registerable. I'm not sure if you're too familiar with Club Rego, but here in Victoria, when a car becomes 25 years or older, you can apply for what they call a club permit, which you join a club and you pay a reduced rate of registration. And you're allowed to drive the car either 45 days a year or 90 days a year. And the savings is like crazy. Like normal rego, I think now is about $900. Club registered cars are $125 to $150, depending on the 45-day or 90-day.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to get back into Hondas again, because having the DC5 at the time as my track car was a full registration, plus having the S15, also another full registration. It just didn't make sense. That's why I got rid of it. But since the EG was club registerable, that's one of the reasons why I went for it. And I've always wanted one of those old school gen Hondas. Like I've always been into the newer type with the DC5 and stuff. So I never dabbled in the EGs and the EKs and stuff. So that's why I bought the EG. And then that turns me to my next car, which is EK Civic. So the EG had a B16A, had a few issues that I wasn't really wanting to fix and troubleshoot too much into. And then this EK Civic came up into my hands from one of my close friends who offered it to me. It was a bit rougher, had a B18 C2 in it. So it was pretty much ready to go for the track. So that was literally the week before the latest Honda Nationals. So 2023 Honda Nationals, I was prepping the EG to go to the track. And then my mate threw the EK in the mix, and I was like, that's a better car for me to go with. I'm gonna focus on that a week before the event rather than the EG. But the other reason I was kind of stopping with the EG and I didn't want to modify it too much was it's a pretty clean car. I felt bad, like it didn't even have rolled guards. Like what Honda doesn't have rolled guards these days? You know what I mean? Like it didn't have rolled guards. Like interior was all mint. It had the stock B16A. It was a great car, and I just felt bad doing once to it. You know, like first take out the guard liners, you roll the guards, you get some fat wheels and wider tires, and it just snowballs from there. And the car was too clean for me to do that, so I was like, I felt bad. So when I got the EK, I was like, when I got the EK, I was like, nah, I don't care about this car. Like it's already pretty battered. The paint's not the greatest, so I'm just gonna have fun with it. So that leads me onto the EK. So took the EK to the track. So now that's my full dedicated track car, and the EG will be up for sale because just no point in me having an EG and an EK. They're pretty much the same car. Then I've got, I guess, my pride and joy, which is my S15. I've had that for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. It was definitely pre-COVID.
Yep.
But that's one of the cars that when I was initially getting into cars, I was like, this is one of the dream cars that I want. But because it's a turbo car, at the time the P plate restriction laws didn't allow you to even think about it. So that's why I went down the Honda route first and didn't initially get an S15. But after the multitude of cars that I went through, I ended up with S15. So that's my pride and joy at the moment, which doesn't get driven too much. It's kind of a show car, which is sad because I want to drive it and I want to enjoy it, but it's at a point where it's nice, and if I take it out, I start thinking about all those things that I said my brother would think about before, you know, like where do I park it? Is it going to get stolen? Petrol, 98 everywhere. All these things. So that car is on the back burner for now, but I'll enjoy it every now and then when I can. But that car is actually coming up to 25 years now as well. So as of next month, I can club register that one as well.
Nice.
So at the moment, I'm slowly bringing the car back to stock to get it roadworthy and get it up to club rego.
Yep.
So yeah, but I do have plans to upgrade the turbo and things like that because it's just got basic bolt-ons at the moment. Everyone's like, when I tell them all I have a stock turbo, they're like, why? And I'm just like, it's reliable, it runs, it's great. Like, I've got a turbo setup sitting at home since COVID as well, and a manifold, like whole hot side to go into the S15. And I've been meaning to do it, but I've just been waiting for an opportunity to do it. Like it's been so good to me. I haven't had any mechanical issues with it at all that
Touchwood.
I felt like I haven't needed to touch it. I don't know. Like it's a good and a bad thing because I'm waiting for something to go wrong for me to be like, yes, now I can upgrade my turbo. But going wrong, so I'm just enjoying it the way it is. So
yeah, let me pull up the picture so Justin can have a look.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it's clean as.
Very clean.
Yeah, so at that time, that's probably its peak. I went to
That is big.
I entered a show called Black Label Invitational. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but it's one of the biggest car shows in Melbourne, definitely, but I'm not sure about Australia. But it's definitely one of the best shows, properly organised, closed off event. That particular photo is taken in at Melbourne Showgrounds. So they've got two venues in the showgrounds. One's under the tent for like the Wreckfest vibe in Japan. And then they also have the convention center as well. So that year it was in the tent and they were going for the Wreckfest vibe. So it was a great experience. It's car shows aren't really my thing. Like I'd rather drive the car and enjoy the cars. But like at that time, it was just after COVID. You know, haven't seen a lot of people in a lot of time in a long while, and just having everyone under the same roof was a pleasant experience to see everyone again. And yeah, it was a good event. And like I said, that was the peak of that car because after that, it just went downhill. So,
Why, just gathering dust?
no, man, I'm so unlucky with that car. Like, I got hit and run twice.
Oh, fuck.
Let's put it. So the first time, like I said, I don't drive this car much. Like maybe once a month, I'd take it out on a nice day just to enjoy it, right? And I'd be very careful where I park it, corner spots only. Make sure I map out my route to know where I'm going in case there's speed humps or like, you know, road closures or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I took it to the post office to pick up a package. I literally ran inside, parked up the car on a corner spot. There was no one behind me or around me. Went inside, got my package. Probably about 5 minutes later, came out and I saw a four-wheel drive leaving. And I was like, huh, okay, cool. Anyway, drove home, closed the garage. And when I closed the garage, I walk out the back. So I had a look and there was a massive dent on the boot. So now I'm trying to put it through my head. I'm like, I didn't go anywhere. I went literally to the post office and back. So I couldn't have been anywhere else. I didn't stop anywhere. So it was 100% that four-wheel drive at the post office that, I don't know, probably had a bull bar or a tow bar or something, and he was reversing it and it hit me. So that was like a killer for me because like the car was freshly resprayed. It was like mint condition at the time. And it's just like, what's happening here? Like, I don't even drive it. I try and be careful with it when I take it out. And then the one time I do, I get hit. And like, it's a hit and run as well. Like, they don't even leave any details, nothing.
He probably did. They probably dn't even know they fucking reversed into your car.
That's what I mean. These massive four drives, like,
They don't even know, bro. Tin can, bro. It would have just folded in. They wouldn't have had a single clue. Same thing happened to my S14.
Yeah, like my boot was like properly pushed in, and like to him, they probably wouldn't even notice. Like you said, yeah. True. But the second time I got hit and run, they definitely did notice because I was coming out of the petrol station right after freshly respraying my front bar, by the way.
Oh, no.
And just put a new lip on and all this stuff. I was coming out of the petrol station one night after having kebabs with a few mates. And it was, so when you come out in Australia, when you come out of a petrol station, you're looking at your right-hand side for oncoming traffic, right? Naturally, everyone would. Why would you look left? There's no oncoming traffic. It's one-lane traffic, right? I was creeping out of the petrol station, so I was looking to my right for oncoming traffic, and then I just get smack right on the front of my car, and I was like, "What was that? Did like a dog just run into the front of my car? What happened just then?" And then I look outside, and some dude's on the floor, and it was a push bike, and he just smashed straight into my car. Literally, I'm not even moving. I'm literally at a standstill trying to exit the petrol station. He just smacked straight into my car.
Fucking bike riders, eh? They think
Dude,
they
it's
own the road. Woo!
You've just triggered Justin.
It is triggered. I went on a full rant yesterday about slow drivers. Don't get me started on bikes, brother.
Whole different breed.
Dude, well, it's worse. It was a motorized bike. One of those electric ones. So
think they own the
he's doing
fucking
like some
road.
speed. He's not just like paddling into me. He's like doing
Full pelts,
like,
just
Yeah.
pelt
fuck.
down the wrong side of the road in the middle of the because I'm getting kebabs. It would have been late night, right? So in the middle of the night with no lights, black bike. He's wearing all black. Like literally wouldn't have seen him even if I was looking that way.
Yeah.
And he smacked straight in front. And the worst part is he claims he's not from Australia. Like he doesn't have any money. Like his English is very broken. All this stuff, all this crap. I'm trying to get his details, like do my insurance stuff. And like, it was just literally impossible to the point where I was like, mate, don't worry about it. Just like
Go.
fuck off.
Just
I was so pissed.
fuck off, mate.
I was like just trying to explain the situation, trying to do the right thing, and get all the details I needed, but I was just getting nowhere. So I was just like, screw this, I'm over it. Just fuck off. I don't want to see this shit again. Like, after that, I went home, parked up the car, and like didn't drive it for like I don't know how many months. But I just had bad experience, man. Like, you do everything you can to do the right thing and keep it in pristine condition and all this stuff, and it's when it's little stuff like that, fully out of your control. Like you just can't write this shit, really.
No, you can't win them all, unfortunately, and that it sucks.
Yeah.
Sylvia's meant to be driven hard though, mate. So don't worry about how it looks. Just fucking go sideways. Just do skids, mate. Just dan.
Yeah, that segues me on to my next part of the car, which is probably the best time I had with it, because after those 6 months of being depressed of like, just having a damaged car, I just drove it.
Yeah.
I honestly just drove it. I got to a point where I was driving it every day, and I was so happy. Like,
that's how they're meant to be. They're meant to be driven hard, bro.
Yeah, because like it's a funny thing, because like I don't know if you guys have heard the saying as well, but like when your car's clean,
you drive it
won't enjoy
real
it.
Nice.
You're careful,
right? Like if it rains,
yeah. When you just wash your car, you baby it, and then when you see a little bit of dirt on it, you drive it, you lean on it a bit more.
Yeah,
and then you see your car's covered in shit, you fucking hammer it. That's how. That's just how it goes.
For sure.
That's exactly how I felt. Like after that, I was just like, nah, it's already damaged. I'm already gonna have to respray it anyway. So if I go on a mountain run and I hit a rock or something like that, or get rock chips, like it is what it is. It's gonna get resprayed anyway. So that period.
Except you got them Nismo rims, bro. You got to be careful with them.
yeah. Again, put some expensive stuff in your car.
Put stockies on it, mate, and just go curb to curb.
I got lucky though with those wheels. I bought them actually before I bought the car, so it was a really good deal that popped up. That one of my mates was selling, and I didn't even know I wanted an S15 at the time. Like I just sold my Evo 10 at the time, and I wasn't sure what car I was going to get next. But those rims came up, and I was like, dude, I just got to buy them anyway. Like even if I don't have the car that fits them, like I'll buy them and I'll just hold on to them a bit and I'll resell them or something. So I bought them before I even bought the car. So I don't know if that was a sign for me to get the S15, or like pushed me into that direction to get the S15. But yeah,
that would have fit on an Evo as well. So,
funnily enough, that they wouldn't. The center bore for a Nissan it's a bit smaller.
Because they're actual Nismo, so they're perfectly designed. Because I have TE37s that fit on the Evo 8 and the S14. So.
Yeah, correct. Because I actually have a mate that drilled out the center bore to fit his Nismo wheels on his Evo. Yeah. So that's the only reason why I know that. Also,
it's actually designed for a Nissan, whereas saying the TE37s have a bigger center.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the S15. Long-winded, sorry.
That's all good.
But after that, what else do I have? I got the FK.
Sorry, hold up. To stay on the S15, what turbo kit do you have to go on it?
So I bought it pre-COVID, so would have been 4 years ago now. So it was a GT 2871R.
Ooh, disco potato, baby, let's go.
Yeah, honestly, I bought it for the manifold. Like at the time, 6 boost, like not the best
6 boost, good.
Like any of the other manifolds, like a Tomei and the Cinco ones, like I heard horror stories where they kept cracking and stuff like that.
Because they're sort of cast. Yeah, whereas the 6 boost are like 8 mil fucking tube pipe steam pipe,
so
or
the
whatever
6
it is.
at the time was like the way to go, right? So when I saw that, I actually was looking at the manifold, not the turbo. So I just bought the whole hot side setup anyway. And then turns out the guy that I bought the turbo setup off, he had a gem of an S15, and he also had an amazing house, by the way. When I rocked up to his house, he's got a hoist in there, like proper underground garage and everything, like crazy.
Money bags, eh?
Money bags, yeah. And he swindled me into some more parts, which was not great, but because clearly he didn't need the money, but he swindled me hard. Like I rocked up to pick up the turbo setup, and he had all these parts strategically laid out on the floor, and I was like, "Are you selling those?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I am actually. I'm just taking photos. Are you interested?" And I'm like,
"Of course,
of course."
That was a trap.
It was a trap, dude. I went to just buy the turbo setup, and I came home with new JDM headlights, because they're pretty rare for the JDM S15, because the AU spec and the JDM spec S15s, they actually have different headlights. I didn't even know that before I owned one, but they're slightly different. There's that. He had front and rear Nismo old logo strut braces, which are discontinued, you can't buy anymore. So he literally said that to me, and I was like, well, done. I can't buy anymore, so I have to buy it, right? And yeah, like he just had the hoist set up with his S15 there, and it was just like crazy. I was just like, this is goals. And I asked him what he did, and guess what, Shove?
IT?
He's in IT.
Of course. Oh, man.
And that's when I was just like still in operations, like starting out, and I'm just like, oh, what line of IT are you in? And if you're ever, hiring, let me know this and that,
Don't tell me he was in cyber as well.
No, he wasn't. He was in app development or something like that.
Fair enough.
Security and stuff, yeah. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. But yeah, I do want to do the turbo and the S15, but now I'm in two minds again because technology has evolved so much since I bought that turbo. Like that was a good turbo for that time.
Everyone was putting disco potatoes on there.
Yeah, everyone, right? Yeah, that was the setup to go with. It was the proven setup. But then now I think there's
the new Garretts setup come out, the Gen 3s or 4s or whatever they are, man. They're like super efficient.
Bloody Adam LZ. God damn it.
But I mean, you can't just put a turbo on your SR, like injectors, coil packs, front mount, and then you got to do an ECU because you can't remap the standard ECU. And then it's like you might as well go cams. Then you go springs, and then you got to go rocker arms, and then you might as well take the head off and do a head gasket, ARP bolts, and then get the rockers seated correctly so they don't fall off, and then you might as well just put a 2.2 in it.
Yep, trust me. Every time I thought about upgrading that damn turbo, someone somewhere that knows something about an SR will be like, but then you got to do this, you got to do that,
and then you got to put a
on YouTube.
T56 gearbox,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
K swap. Sorry.
Nah. Fuck you, K swap. Nah, SR's a joke.
Bloody Adam LZ and his R-Tech manifolds and his G25 550s. Like,
yeah, but that guy's got so much money. He's got money coming out of his asshole, mate. And the sponsors, so you can't focus on what he's doing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
R-Tech's just like, hey, we're going to give you this whole setup if you just put it in your video. Pretty much.
It's like, why wouldn't, right? Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. I mean, R-Tech is a really good brand, though, but
yeah, some of the manifolds look sick.
So good. I'm not a fan of that whole cast look, but the efficiency is there, and I guess if they last, then it's good. I just like seeing craftsmanship,
Like SRs are not a great sounding engine, but anything with an R-Tech manifold and an external gate, like, my God. Hold
up. So you're telling me an SR20 with a 6-boost manifold and a 3-inch straight exhaust with no cat and no rear muffler sound terrible? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I haven't heard one in a long, long time.
Oh, man.
Like I said, not a lot of people have those setups anymore. That's why I kind of want to do it.
You don't, bro. You don't. My S14 had I didn't have a 6-boost, but it had a 3-inch stainless exhaust, turbo back, so no cat, and I had twin 3-inch blast pipes. No rear, no mufflers, no cat, nothing, and it was just a fucking fart box, man.
Yeah.
The worst sounding engine of all time, so don't do it.
It literally turns into a Honda at that point, to be honest. So.
Just put an RB into it.
There we go.
Fully just snowball, right?
Yeah. Just RB it, bro. RB with cams, turbo, ethanol, you're already pushing 500 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
I'll just buy a GDR at that point, right? So.
No, that's a snowball.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's a went from a disco potato to a 2.2 to an RB to a GDR.
So now you see why I haven't put my turbo setup yet.
Yeah, I understand.
The same conversation happens with whoever I talk to. So
that's like me with my Evo, man. Like I spent 25K in parts and I just had it all sitting there. And then I was just like, there's no point doing it yet. And then all of a sudden my turbo blew and I was like, oh, perfect. I've got all the parts sitting here. boom. So
There you go.
yeah, I get where
That's
you
how
come
you do it.
from.
For
Yeah,
sure.
that's fair. What Evo did you have? Did you have an 8, was it?
I had an 8 MR, my first one. Yeah.
Nice. What color was it?
It was that grey, the MR grey.
Ah,
He had one as well.
beautiful.
Every
same colour.
MR is the grey.
Most of them,
Dude, that's the best color, honestly.
Oh,
like,
man,
never
it's
got dirty,
beautiful.
always looked clean. Oh, it's amazing.
Just and it's got like that blue and silver pearl in it. Oh,
yeah, so good.
I love
when
it.
It's clean.
yeah.
I miss that car. I do. But
So do I, bro.
controversial-
So do I. I miss my first Evo.
Controversial. I actually miss my Evo 10 more.
No, yuck.
Oh no.
Yuck.
Every time I bring up this conversation, I knew someone was going to react to that.
Yuck. Yeah. Evo 7s, yuck. 8s, yes. 9s, yes. 10s, yuck.
Why 10's yuck?
They just,
curious.
I don't know. I
The
think
way
they
look,
they
motor,
missed
way
the
they
mark
drive.
on the way they look. The engines,
Yeah.
they're easier to get power out of, but they're weaker. I don't know, man. Just the 8s and the 9s were just
The sweet spot.
yeah.
Peak.
That's
Yeah.
all personal preference.
Mate,
'Cause
6 TME. Fucking hell.
nah,
Come on, bro.
yeah,
Honestly,
they
the ways the 5s and 6 drive, like, nah, they're the most raw, they're the most enjoyable. Like,
Yeah.
I've got to make with 5.
they were
6.
all rally spec though. Like
Yeah.
that's the peak rally time, and then they just sort of refined them a bit. Like you're saying with your Honda, you know, like the newer ones are a bit more nicer interior, a bit more refined. Whereas like Trev's saying the Evo 6s, they're more raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah, I had the same experience because I always thought 8MR 9s, they're the peak, you know? So that's when I got my first turbo car, it was an 8MR, and it was amazing, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoyed it. I had zero issues with it. It was like one of the best cars I've owned. But at the time, I don't know, like my group of mates, we were kind of all obviously growing up at the same time. So Hondas is where you start at your P plates, and then you get off your P plates, you get a turbo car. Before I did that step, I got an S2000. A lot of my friends around me were also getting S2000s. And then I got off my Ps, and then everyone's getting an Evo. So got it.
I think
8MR.
because obviously in Perth we didn't have to wait
No.
Yeah,
to get our turbo car. So I learned how to drive in an S13.
man, you guys are lucky.
Yeah, so I've had 4 Silvias, and then I kept losing my license and doing dumb shit, and I was like, okay, time to be a bit more responsible. That's where the Evo comes in.
Yeah,
You can still go
4 doors,
hard as fuck, you know, but you can't really do burnouts. You
Yeah.
can if you've got a big open area and you want to do full drive skids, but
Yeah.
So you know you're generally a bit more responsible. So I think as you get older, you sort of realize skids are cool, but I need my license, so I'll get an Evo. And if you can't afford an Evo, you buy a WRX.
You can get into trouble still in an Evo though. Like I remember any of the mountain runs that I used to do in my Hondas, like I just felt like I was still safe, and I was like, you know,
Within limits.
somewhat
anyway.
near the speed limit because the car's so damn slow. But the Evo, like
Evo
I would
boogies,
literally
eh?
have one hand on the steering wheel and just turning it like this, and I'd be going faster than like I've ever been before.
Yeah,
And
they're so quick, man.
that's a bit kind of hit me for the Evos, and I was like, it's just a bit too easy, you know. Like it's quick. Don't get me wrong. Like if you
The yaw control is great, eh? Suspension, the engine, the yaw control, like just everything. They were just designed for the track.
yeah, it's an engineering marvel, really.
Yeah.
But for me, as a driver's car, I don't know if it's coming from the Hondas or not, but like I just felt like I needed more. I don't know. Like I just felt like I needed something more.
So you bought an Evo 10,
I bought it in everything.
which is even worse.
I know, right? So a funny story with the transition into the 10 was I was getting older, you know, like you got the 4-door car already, but the Evo 8 was cammed. It was quite loud. It was quite obnoxious. So like driving passengers and stuff, I couldn't even hear what they were saying and all this stuff. So,
They have hell bad sound deadening, eh? Like you just hear everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the time, I was getting to a point where I sold my daily. So I was driving the Evo daily, and then, you know, it starts going into your head, oh, if I park, it's going to get stolen because it's an import, doesn't have a mobilizer, stuff like that. So that's why I ended up selling the Evo 8 and controversially bought an Evo 10 because, you know, I still love the Evos. I've always liked 10s because, like, no one has them, really.
There's a reason. There's a reason why no one has them. Nah, they're actually everywhere. They're everywhere.
I took a chance on them, but it was more modern. The interior is nicer. You know, the body's like, it's a really wide shape. You can fit from the factory. Like, I think at the time I was running 10.5 plus 15.
Oh, you could fit 11s in the back, man. Whereas you couldn't do that on the 8.
Yeah.
Crazy wide.
So yeah, I bought an Evo 10 at the time because I was like, nah, I'm not dabbling in dailies anymore. I want one car that can do it all. And the Evo 10 was the car that did it for me. Like, a lot of people ask me, out of all the cars I've owned, which car would I buy back in a heartbeat? And it's funnily enough, it's not the S2000 like everyone initially thinks. It's not the Evo 8. It's actually the Evo 10. But I don't know if I'm biased because at the time it just fit my life so perfectly. So that's why I was just so, I guess, happy at the time, because I've never had a car that could do it all. You know, you always have a car that is missing a certain criteria that you can't do that another car can do. Right? Yeah, exactly. But the Evo 10 for me at the time was a car that could do everything. I could drive it and park it wherever I wanted because it was Australian delivered and it was immobilized. No one was stealing them. I could drive it and park it wherever I want because people just think it's a Lancer, you know, like it just looks like a Lancer. I wouldn't get any cop trouble because it wasn't low, slammed, or loud or anything like that. The interior was updated. Like I put, it was my first time having like a 10-inch Android head unit slapped into the dash. But in that car, because of the way the dash is designed, it looks factory.
Yeah, it sits really nice. It sits really flush, and the Mitsubishi head units are junk. So
yeah, they're terrible. And
oh man, so you just have to do it no matter what. Like
you just have to. There's no choice. Like even if you didn't get the model with the double din, which was my one, I didn't have the double din. It was just the buttons. You know, the cluster fucking buttons everywhere.
Just Lancer.
As soon as I upgraded that and got CarPlay in it, I was like, damn,
this is life changing.
Oh man,
life changing, right? Yeah,
groceries in the back. You could fit two 12-inch subs in the back with 2 amps. And you could still fit a full row of groceries in the boot, man. So good.
Yeah, exactly. So you're starting to think of those, you know,
4 doors, more whores. Boom.
Here we go.
But yeah, that car, it was just amazing. And I honestly thought I was going to keep it for a really, really long time. But again, adulting happened. I was getting to a stage where I was looking at buying my first house, you know, getting that deposit and stuff like that. And then I made another mistake of buying a daily. So I said to myself that this is my one car and I'm going to drive it every day and I'm going to enjoy it. But then the other value side of things started creeping into my head. So Ks were going up. I think it was at 90,000 or something. So it was almost hitting the 100K mark. The Ks were going up. Again, I started worrying about where I'm parking it. Like all this dumb shit that comes into my mind like I do when I own any car. But a cheap DC5 came up on my radar and I couldn't say no. So I bought that thing and then I ended up dailing that and neglecting the Evo 10. So that was my downfall because after that happened, I felt bad just leaving the Evo 10 there, paying full rego on it, not driving it. So I was like, might as well just sell it at this point and just drive the DC5, which is what I did, and use some of that money to buy the house that I'm in right now. So I don't regret it. And with the difference of what I sold the Evo 10 for at the time and what S15s were going for pre-COVID, I actually was able to use that difference to buy the house and buy the S15. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad choice, but I do miss that car a lot.
Yep.
Because of all the things it did for me. But which leads me on to the next one. I'll go back on topic.
That's all good, bro.
We digress again.
It happens.
The other car that I have that I'll say now is not mine, but it's my missus. So, and I did have a bit of a say in it when she purchased it. So I hit her in the right direction, you know, like at the time she wanted an S2000 initially. I'm lucky enough, you know, to have a partner that understands my hobby and but at the same time enjoys it herself. She's always loved S2000s. It's how we met really. But she's never gotten to the position to be able to actually purchase one. So at this stage, we were looking at buying an S2000 for her. But then, you know, adulting took over again and we were thinking about, all right, well, if we get a dog, if we get married, if we have kids, like, what am I going to do with an S2000? Like, can't put a baby seat in the back of that. Like, what are you going to do? So I was like, okay, same price mark, newer car. What else can we buy?
Evo wagon.
Funnily enough, that was on my mind.
Evo 9 wagon, yeah.
it was. But she wanted
Stage
something a bit more. She wanted something a bit more newer, a bit nicer. So I was like, okay, what about this Civic Type R that just came out? So yeah, we were on the hunt for one of those. I think that was before. So I met you, Trevor, and then I saw your car and all that, and then afterwards I ended up buying one. Right? Is that
I think so. Yeah, shortly after.
Right. Yeah. So then we're on the hunt, looking interstate everywhere for one, and then we ended up finding one in Sydney, which we flew up, one-way ticket. So if the car was shit, I was no way I was getting back. But it was a fairly new car. So I took a chance on it. So
yeah.
But previous owner was good. He did some decent mods to it and had all the stock parts and stuff. So yeah, we bought that. So that's been our, I guess, car that we've been sharing and dailying for the past couple of years. But we're getting to that stage again where I have the Jazz now. I feel like this is a cycle, man. Like, what's going on here?
It's like therapy. It's like, so what patterns in your life have you experienced?
Oh, God. Yeah, so we have the Jazz now, and the FK kind of just sits there. You know, like it's a nice car that we do take out on weekends, or if we're going to like a wedding or something, you know, we'll take the FK and enjoy it for what it is. But like, again, like that same thought process. Like if I'm going to the shops, I'm not going to open the garage and move the cars and then take the FK8 out. Well, I've got the Jazz there. I'll just jump in that and go, right? So now I'm getting to that point again where that car's sitting there. I'm paying full reg for it. We're not driving it. So we've been thinking of selling that one as well recently, but I'm thinking of replacing it with an S2000, funnily enough.
No, that's fair enough. If she's always wanted one as well, right? Yeah, like it makes sense.
Wanted. We've got the Jazz for like the daily duties and, you know, future-proofing stuff. So that's good. But the other reason is because the SUK is coming up to $19.99 now. So again, it's another car that is club registerable, which is
good.
Makes me, you know, my argument to her a lot easier.
Yes.
When it's not full rego. So yeah, I'll think about selling that one in the future and possibly getting an S2000 to replace it. But
with the club rego, do you have to log every time you drive? Because you're only allowed to drive it for 45 or 90 days, was it?
Yes.
So you have to write down how many Ks you've done, or do you have to let them know? How does that work over there?
Yeah, so how that works is, luckily enough, I'm scared they're gonna crack down on it soon, but at the moment it's pretty lenient. So all you need to do is put in the date and the reason that you're driving and who's driving it. They don't log the Ks. They don't get you to report the Ks online or anything like that. So I've heard from a mate. I don't do this, and I don't condone this, but I've heard from a mate, you don't have to fill out the book every time you drive, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Or you could get an erasable pen, write it in, rub it out when you come home. You're not actually using a day. Again, I don't condone this. So
yeah, okay.
That's what I've heard on the grapevine.
Yeah.
But it's that's why I'm thinking that they'll probably crack down on it, because as of this year, 2024, a lot of the 1999 cars, all the hero JDM cars from the era are becoming club registerable. So there's going to be a huge influx of club registerable cars this year.
Yep.
And I just feel like they'll implement
to, I think.
Yeah, because it is pretty lenient at the moment in terms of club reg. But I mean, you are taking the risk. Like if you do get pulled over and a cop knows what they're looking at, like if you got an erasable pen, they'll get you for it. If they can see you've altered the dates, you'll get fined. And the fine is pretty much a year of rego. So the fine, I think, is driving an unregistered vehicle if you don't write it in the book, because you're technically driving when you're not supposed to be. So that's a $900 fine. So is it really worth the risk, you know, like to do that? But at the same time, 45 days is pretty good, because if you think about it, there's 52 weeks in a year. So
it's almost every weekend.
Days, you're not going to drive it every single weekend, really, right? So you can get away with that. And if you do, you can actually extend your period to 90 days halfway through your year, for example. Like if you feel like you're churning through the days, you can just pay a little bit extra and you can extend that, double it to 90 days. So they give you that option as well. But yeah, it's just, it's too good. Like anyone, I do these things with my mates sometimes when we go out to car meets and stuff, and we see a car that is club registerable, that's on full rego, that guy's a baller.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Playing full reg when he could be playing club reg, you know what I mean? Like I've been waiting all these years for my S15 to go club reg, so I can finally on the first month of when it's eligible to go do it straight away. But you got people out there that
But then you got to join a club and actually like be part of a club. A lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah. Good point.
You know,
but there are a lot of clubs these days that don't have any regulatory like things that you have to do to be a part of the club. Like
you just join up online.
Be the club to be on the club permit, and you don't have to do anything else. Just pay the fee. That's it. Because I know there's a lot of clubs out there that you got to go to events or host events or volunteer and stuff like that, which is all good and well. Like that's what you join a club for, right? But there are clubs out there that are less intensive, I guess, as well. If you want to go down that route, but there's options.
That's why I haven't put the Mustang on them. I think we got a club rego here. There's an option for it, like a vintage rego. But it was like you're only allowed to drive it X amount of days, and I'm like, man, what if I want to take it out for a full week, full 2 weeks? Then I'm done for the rest of the year. I can't, so there's no point.
True.
But it would go from like a $900 rego down to $74 or $90. It's like, it is a no-brainer, but at the same time, if you want to drive it,
it's a restriction. That's the hard part, right?
That's true.
I'm a pretend baller.
I'll just say you're a baller. That's it. That's
I wish.
But in terms of club reg over there, like how does that work? Do they make you log the Ks over there, or how does it work?
Yeah, you still got to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I was sort of like, nah. If I want to drive this car whenever I want, I'm not going on that rego.
Yeah. So that's the other thing that makes me think that if it's already implemented in other states, like surely Victoria are going to be like, look, if that's what they're doing over there, we can implement that here. So
you think so?
I hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, for sure. Justin, I will show you a picture of his very clean FK compared to mine. Much better. Do you recognize where this is?
Except yours is red. Yeah, Melbourne. That's the track.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good spot for photos, eh?
Yeah, fine. That's the pit lane, eh? Is that pit lane?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do a photo shoot there. I'm not the greatest with a camera, so
neither are we, mate.
We try.
Hey, but you guys have started. You're on the journey. I'm saying I'll use my camera. I've got it here, but it's like collecting dust somewhere. I haven't actually started. But bumped into a mate. Funnily enough, again, a funny story with the people that you meet through cars. But like he was a photographer 10 years ago when I first had my DC5, and he used to photo shoot my car back then. And then ever since then, I think he took a break, and life hit him as well. He got on with his life and met his family, this and that, and kind of stopped taking photos and stopped going to car events. And then 10 years later, bumped into him again randomly at a car meet, and I'm like, dude, we should catch up and do another shoot. So he actually took those photos of the FK8 for me, and he clearly hasn't lost his touch since. He's still an amazing photographer. So
nice.
Yeah, it's just funny to start that conversation again. Like the people that you meet through cars, you don't necessarily have to be the closest friends, but like when you see each other after a long time, like you still have so much to talk about. So yeah, it's just a cool experience.
It is.
Only cars will give you.
It's funny how like you can remember people's cars but not the name and stuff. It is so bad.
I'm the worst, man. Like in my phone, like when you buy a car or someone and you're like Peter DC5 or Peter Honda, or like that's how you remember who that person is, because it's like that you're related to. And there's a lot of people in my mind too that I'm like relating to, like, oh wait, what car does he drive again? Oh yeah, that Peter, I get him. Yeah, I know him. So it's pretty funny.
Nice.
But in the days of like Instagram and stuff, doesn't help with everyone's handles. Like
just
you don't know
the chassis code and stuff. I was one of those people, guilty. Justin, I think, has always just been Justin. Good man.
Yes.
Not conforming.
I can barely remember my own name.
Oh, shit. So, did you go to F1 last year, bro?
Yeah, I did actually. I wasn't planning to be honest, because ever since this whole Netflix
Drive to Survive
swindle of new bandwagoner fans come on, like it's much harder to get a bloody ticket these days. Like honestly, like you got to be camping out and be lucky to even get a ticket on a grandstand to even go. Because I've been every year for the past like 5 years or so, and I've always been a cheap ass, like trying to only go general admin and camp out at a spot for the Sunday, and just stand there all day just to see one car go past from my shitty ass view, because I won't pay for a bloody grandstand. But funnily enough, I think it was the year of COVID. that year where they called it off like on the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
My missus, as a birthday present, bought me grandstand tickets to the F1, and like I was so grateful. Like they were great seats as well, and I was looking forward to it because like all these years of just like constantly not seeing anything, in a tight ass, and my missus just like, nah, none of this crap. I'm just gonna buy him a freaking grandstand ticket and go like how he should go.
Yeah.
And I was all excited. I was ready for it. Like it was amazing. And then
COVID
hit, and they cancelled it. I think literally on the morning of the weekend.
Yeah, people rocked up. It was fucked.
People rocked up and lined up, and it was like, oh man,
it's just hectic. They fucked up.
They did very much.
It was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad.
I mean, it was a crazy time. Let's be honest. No one knew what the fuck was going on.
Exactly. It was. Yeah, that was like the start of it, right? So
they just need to make a call earlier, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so you went last year. You said 2023.
Yeah, so I went last year.
How was that? Because there was a couple of red flags. It was
a great race. It was amazing, but I wasn't planning on going because, like I said, like I couldn't get tickets. There was way too many people and things like that. Even if I went general admin, I reckon I wouldn't be able to see anything anyway. But luckily enough, Daniel, my colleague from work, who has a chaser, he's a part of like the Toyota car club, and he got invited to go to the F1 and display his car as part of the Toyota car club. And from that, you get 4-day passes for the weekend, and he can bring someone with him on each day. So he ended up bringing me with him for, I think it was quali day. So I was grateful for that experience. But it was the first time I was going not on race day. Every other year, I'd only go on race day because I'm like, you're going to see the action.
Yeah.
Quali is just, they're just flying past for one lap and then that's it. They're not actually racing. There's not going to be as much carnage. So why would you go? But going on quali day was pretty good experience because it's more relaxed. It's not as busy. You get to actually do a lap of the track and see everything and see that like the interactive activities and stuff like that are actually there. Because normally, like I said, when I go, I just go there, I stand in one spot, I watch the race, and I go home. Like I don't even get to see what's there. So going last year and actually seeing everything was a pretty good experience. And to be honest, this time I'm probably going to do the same thing, but maybe go on a Friday or something.
Yeah, that's what I've done when I've went. It's like I've went twice and I just go on the practice days because it's just so much more chilled. There's less people in the stands and whatnot, and you can actually, like you said, walk around. What's it called? The fucking lake. I can't remember the name now. Albert Park, but I can't remember the lake. Yeah, you just walk around that, and there's always other things to do and food and whatnot too. So it's just a better vibe, I'd say.
So I'm planning to do that this year as well. Try and go on a Friday because
do it.
Sunday, honestly, like it's better to watch it at home. Like
that's what I was about to say.
Definitely go one time in your life to just experience race day and all the adrenaline that you get from the start of the race and all that stuff. But after going for all those years, like it's just better to watch it from home. Just go on a different day, explore everything and see everything, so you're not rushed. But race day, just watch from home. Like
race day is so hectic. There's just people everywhere. Like they run out of food, water. You want to buy some merch. It's so busy. Everything that you sort of want sold out, and then there's this massive rush to get home. It takes so long.
Yeah, and it's not even the same to watch the race actually as well, because like obviously we're so used to having the commentators there, but when you're trackside, I think you have the trackside commentators, but you can't hear shit.
You can't hear anything, and the TVs are so small, you can't even see like who's in what position. And because I went to the Japanese GP, like the commentators, you could hear them, and I couldn't understand fuck all. So I'm just sitting there, just like, oh, there's a car, Max Verstappen, and then 20 seconds later,
everyone else,
someone else.
I hope this season's not like that, man.
It's gonna be. Max is gonna win. Nah.
Well, already from Bahrain testing, Max is up there. So
that's what I keep saying.
Fucking 24 races of the Dutch national anthem.
I think there's more than 24 races this year.
Oh fuck! There we go.
Yeah.
I think there's more than that. I think they want to push for 30 races.
That is insane.
That's ridiculous.
It's a crazy calendar.
30 races for 30 episodes. Just gonna highlight that shit.
Go on. Let me just check.
Have you guys watched the latest Drive to Survive?
I just did. I just watched it.
All of them?
I just watched season 6. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I have stopped watching.
It's. I like to watch it just before the first race because it sort of gets me a little bit amped again to watch F1.
Yeah.
As the seasons go on, the quality gets a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Like there's season 1, 2, and 3. It's as if they were actually trying to tell a story. It felt like they were at every single race.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about one specific team per episode. It was like a whole drama about this whole race itself.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like there's 10 episodes. Each episode is sort of about another team at a race, and they only go to a couple races anyway. So it's repeating the same regurgitated shit, like Monaco. It's the same. There's like a couple episodes on Monaco, a couple episodes on the Singapore GP. Like, I'm not saying they're bad races, but it's like, I saw this in an episode before, bro. Why are you bringing it up again? But just a different team's perspective. So, yeah, I just watch it just because it amps me up again to get back into F1.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like us OGs, the ones that, followed F1 religiously before Netflix,
not me.
Appreciated what it was before, like I prefer that format of like, following each race and actually each weekend and what happens and all that stuff instead of following a single team and then, like you said, repetitive episodes of the same race.
Yeah.
So I preferred that format much more.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. Like, don't not watch it, but it was alright. It's just to get you amped up, ready for Formula One again. Like, you sort of forget like how much money is involved. What the drivers actually go through, how much politics. Like, you're like, oh, yep, okay, I'm a little bit refreshed in the F1.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely worth watching right before the season. Like, I'm doing that now. I'm a couple episodes in, so
there's nothing on Red Bull because it's all about every other team. Like, it's so funny. Like, Red Bull dominated that much that Netflix were just like, we're not even going to bother putting this in. Like, I think Max was in it for like a couple minutes. Like, that's it. So
I wonder if that's because of the fucking Christian Horner stuff that's happened. Maybe they...
because Netflix, they've been recording all year and they've been editing for so long and that stuff's only just came out. So
they could have cut it, maybe. You never know.
Cut it in that short period of time. Like, look how long it takes you to fucking edit one tiny little thing.
Shots fired. Yeah. Fuck you, man.
Have you seen their edits of like just their 30-second ads?
Yeah, I'm not
It's
surprised.
like 100 fucking lines of all these little things, bro. Like, no. There's no way they're just going to be like, oh, just take out every little bit of Christian Horner and Red Bull. They'd be like, bro, this is going to take me fucking 6 months.
AI. That's all I'm going to say.
Nah. And plus, that shit already got sorted anyway. Yeah, that Christian Horner stuff came out anyway, so they're happy with the result and it's all done. So nothing's going to happen about that.
We'll see. Yeah. Growing up and living in Melbourne and having the car scene there, I mean, you've been pretty involved in it. You've had some pretty cool events there. I mean, Black Label's one. You've got Harnett Media that lives there as well. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in Melbourne. How do you keep involved in all of that? And do you make an effort to? Because you seem to be in the know.
No. I used to, like, to be honest, I used to. But at the moment, like, that flame is slowly dying. I don't know. Like, it has something to do with Japan, to be honest with you. I've been in Japan like 6-7 times now, and just nothing can compare. Nothing can compare. Like, honestly, like, I've done the touristy trips, I've done the car trips, and whenever I try and compare what we have here to what they have over there, you just can't compare. And like, I don't know if that's caused me to be like, you know what, we're never going to get to that stage, so screw it. I'm just going to save my car. Save my car trips and car things for when I go to Japan. And here I'll just, do the occasional track day and go to the occasional event.
Yep.
But like, now more than ever, I feel like there are a lot of events happening especially in Melbourne. Like with Instagram and Facebook and, everything's so accessible to people. There's more events than ever before because everyone knows about it, right? Like, it takes one shared post on Instagram for everyone to be like, oh, yeah, we're going here tonight.
It's a good thing about social media, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, you might get the wrong crowd. You don't get the same, standard of cars, I guess, or like standard like people in general, or like just experiences that you would have had back then. But there are some great events still happening in Melbourne. Like I'm glad that we have these events. Like some areas don't have any events at all. So like I've got to be grateful for what we have. Like highball cars and coffees. I don't know if you guys ever seen any photos of those events, or if you ever got able to get down to one of those, Trev, when you were here. But they are hands down the best Melbourne car event like at the moment, because of the sheer amount of cars that come out, but the quality cars as well. And because it's so early in the morning, I feel like you weed out like people that aren't the shit. Yeah, I was trying to be nice about it.
That's fine. Just call it for what it is.
And you have to pay do you have to pay to sort of put your car in there as well, or?
No, it's a $2. I think it's a $2 gold coin entry or something. And they've got like ties with the police and stuff like that. There's highway patrol cars on display there as well. Like no one ever gets hassled there. Because the cops are actually there and they're running the event as well. So, and they understand. So, yeah, it's one of the best events because it kind of gives me like a Japan vibe as well, because it's a car park, but it's also a rolling show because you can drive through, park your car up and then leave and go as you please. Like there's some shows where you go in and you're stuck in there for a certain time and that's it, right? So it kind of reminds me of like Daikoku Futo, which is like a famous parking area in Japan that you'll go to at any time of the day, any time of the night, and you'll see something new all the time because the way that it's set up, it's literally on the off ramp on the freeway. So you've got people coming in after dinner and just having a look at the cars and then leaving. And then you've got people that are actually coming in their car groups and actually hanging out and meeting there. You've got people that are going out for cruises and, that's the meeting up spot. So it kind of gave me a bit of those vibes, but nothing can compare, honestly. Nothing can compare.
Yeah. But, I was going to say, so you've been 6 or 7 times, and I think the last trip you went, was it a solo trip? You rented a car and just traveled around?
Yeah, it was a pretty spontaneous trip, that one. I haven't been to Japan since COVID. Like before COVID, I was going every year for the last like 5 years, but then COVID hit and wasn't able to get back. And I honestly wasn't planning to go to Japan anytime soon either, but my friend ended up having a destination wedding in Vietnam. So I went there for the wedding and I was like, why go home after 3 days? Like I'm already halfway across the world. I might as well, hit Japan as well.
Just a quick stopover in Japan.
Just a stopover in Japan. I'm already out, so I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna go to Japan as well. Like I've never done a proper solo trip either. Like at the time, like my missus was invited to the wedding as well, but she works in her line of work. It was coming up to like the Melbourne Spring Cup Carnival, and she has a lot of involvement in that, so she wasn't able to take off work or come to the wedding. So I was like, okay, I'll go to the wedding by myself, and then I'll do a solo trip because I've always wanted to do one. I've always wanted to tick that off my bucket list. Like it's one thing to travel with your mates, it's one thing to travel with your partner, but I feel like it's a completely different experience to travel on your own. And like, what other country to do it other than Japan, right? Like
safest place in the world, eh?
The safest place in the world, like. Just the culture, the food, like anything that you do over there is like normalized, like over here, like you do stuff on your own, it shouldn't be like that, but it is something like it's a bit weird.
Yeah, going to restaurants on your own, you go
to a restaurant on your own, like you order a dish for yourself. It's just not right. Like
over there, it's so normal. You just order a dish by yourself. You sit and you're like crammed into a restaurant with like 4 other people around you. And they're all looking at you, and you're all just eating, but they're all on their own as well.
Yeah, and their culture is like set up for it too. Like there's tables that literally before COVID, it wasn't even a COVID thing, but before COVID, they used to have cubicles, like they could sit on your own and just enjoy your food or whatever. So that's why I was like, no, if I'm gonna do a solo trip, I'm gonna go to Japan. And like I've done full car trips in the past, but this time I was like, I want to go and explore other areas I haven't been, like Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, all the areas that everyone goes to on their first initial trips. I've done like multiple times already. So this time I was like, I haven't got the missus. I've got full concentration to do what I want to do. So you know what? I'm just going to rent a car and go fully out to the country, see things that I've never seen before. I want to have a language barrier, like now when you go to Tokyo, now when you go to Osaka, like I remember the first time I'd been in like 2015, 2016, there was a bit of a language barrier there. Like I was struggling to find directions. I was struggling to go and ask questions and stuff like that without Google Translate. But now everyone speaks English. there's foreigners everywhere. So like if you ever need, you just ask, and it's there. So it just doesn't feel the same for me anymore, the cities. So I just wanted to explore the country. So the best way to do that is via car. Like you could take a bullet train and be there in 2 seconds, but like you're missing out on the journey and the things that you'd see that you wouldn't otherwise see in a car, which is why we love cars so much, right? Like they take us where we want to go, but at the same time we enjoy the process. So and that's to my next point. I didn't want to just get a rental car, like just a K car. Like I wanted something fun that I could enjoy still and go to all the mountain runs and all those things. So funnily enough, from my last couple of trips, there's this company that actually lets you rent out like modified sports cars. Like there's a lot of companies out there let you rent out sports cars. I think it's called Fun to Drive, one of the ones that I did.
Yeah.
And
you can like rent out stock RX-7s and GDRs and shit like that, and
so
NSX.
When I went to them, I drove like a stock NSX. Yeah. But it was more like a tour. So you'd have to follow the instructor around, and like it's cool because he tells you where the cool spots are. He takes you through the routes and stuff, so you don't have to worry about it. But it was quite expensive from what I remember. It was like 6 hours for like $300, $400 or something like that. It was something stupid, but you're in Japan, it's a bucket list thing to do, right? So you just did it. But when I found this other company, like it just changed my perspective altogether, because it's like you get to rent the car for the full day. You don't need to do no tour. It's an actual rental company. It's called Amore Rental Car, if anyone's interested. But yeah, you get to rent any car that you want. They have a massive fleet of sports cars, and they also have a massive fleet of actually modified cars as well. So I've rented an R34 GTR the last time I went with them, but this time I wanted to rent something a bit smaller, because the 34 GTR, like honestly, for Japanese roads, it feels massive.
Yeah.
Like I was scared, man. There was like in the countryside when I was driving last time, there's like these they have like these barriers where you go through and only one car can go through. You have to give way to the other side. And like literally I had to close the mirrors, because all the cars, now I know why all the cars in Japan
have the folding mirrors.
Yeah. Because I had to fold the mirrors, because I swear to God, if I went straight through that one, I would have smacked one of the mirrors off. So like, and that was just my whole experience with the 34. Like I went to Shibuya Crossing and tried to like take cool photos and stuff, but the whole time I was just anxious because like the car was so big. So this time I really wanted to go there and get a car that was, that suited the roads a bit more, and a car that I haven't really driven is the GR Yaris. So again, I didn't want a fully stock one, so I wanted something modified. And at the time, this company was actually working with Keiichi Tsuchiya, the Drift King, to build a car for their company. So he helped them build, like, there's a full YouTube video on it and stuff that I fully geeked out on before I went. But there's a full build series on the car, and all the modified mods were done by Keiichi Tsuchiya himself. He actually put time and tested the cars at the tracks and stuff like this. You can see all the videos about it. But yeah, so that's why I was like, I want to rent that. I want that. Like, I want to actually enjoy every part of this drive that I'm going to do. Like, if I'm going to go to the mountains, like, I've been to the mountains, like all the initial D tracks and stuff before, but in a rental car, and it just wasn't the same. Like, I was just trying to, be cool and try and enjoy this bloody rental car, a 1.3 liter K car up the mountains that's struggling to get up. It's just not the same.
No,
so
it's not.
This time I was like, I want something that I can actually enjoy the roads with. So the Yaris was like the perfect car to it. Nice. Yeah. And I drove, dude, like, I think I drove would have been like 30 hours or something like that. I've got it logged on Google Maps somewhere, but I drove more than I slept pretty much that trip. Like, it was crazy. It was bad. It was like days where I didn't plan out my route properly, so that if I ended up in a certain area, there's no hotels or hostels at that time. So like literally, I was like, just YOLO, man. I'll just sleep in the car. Like, honestly, it got to that point, which I regret.
When in Rome, mate. When in Rome,
dude. I regret it so much though, because if there's any country to get cheap accommodation in, it's Japan, right? And cheap, good accommodation too, right? Like here, if you're talking cheap, you're getting some rundown hotel that players never.
And it still costs you $400 a night. Whereas over there, $400 a night, you're living, mate. That's you in a whole house. That's luxury. A mansion. Yeah. Like, I'm talking butlers.
Exactly. So while I was laying down in the boot of this freaking GR Yaris without a blanket or nothing,
they're so small too.
Planet, I was like, nah, this is not it. This is like, I can't be doing this. So yeah, it was an amazing experience this time, because I got to see so many things that like I just never saw before, and it made me miss Japan the way that I did the first time I did. Because like now, after going so many times, it kind of becomes second nature. Like, oh, I've seen that before, I've done that before, whatever. But this time, I really felt like like I was experiencing the culture again, like seeing things I've never seen. Like the countryside is beautiful. It's just as beautiful as the cities. Like everyone goes for the cities and the lights and the screens and all that stuff, but the country is just something different. Like even out there, like you'd think they put all their time and money into the cities, but no, like the country is just as beautiful. All the roads are immaculate. Like there's no potholes, there's no nothing. Like everything's maintained, everything's amazing, and the culture's the same. Like the people are still polite. Like it's not like over here where you go to a certain area and you're like, oh yeah, that suburb, they're full of this or that, or like
or you think over here you go into the country and then you're like, oh, just be careful of the country boys, like
yeah, exactly. But over there, everyone is exactly the same. Like every person I met, like even if they didn't speak English, they'd go out of their way to help me. Then like another thing that I experienced, that I use this story all the time when people ask me about Japan is like the politeness when it comes to driving. So obviously when you say thanks over here, it's like a wave to say thanks, but sometimes you can't even see their hand saying thanks and you're like, oh, what a cunt, didn't even say thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
But in Japan, they make sure that you know that they're saying thank you, because if you give way to them, they'll turn their hazard lights on for like, I think 3 blinks.
3 blinks, yeah.
That's like saying thank you, right? And I was like, that's pretty cool. But then they took it a step further, because I was at the traffic lights and the Yaris is pretty low. So I had like a truck behind me and he was following me for like a good 10, 15 minutes. But I noticed like at every light, he kept turning his lights off. And I was like, what's with this guy? Like initially I was like, man, is he all right? Like I don't understand what he was doing. But then I realized, because he's on a truck and he's raised up.
Oh, yeah.
Mirrors. Yeah, his lights are hitting my mirrors. And he's turning his parkers on at every light, so he's not blinding me. And I was
What
like,
a nice
fuck
guy.
it. Yeah, it's a small. Whereas I'd be putting my high beam on. I'm like, fuck you, dog. But wow, Japan.
Yeah, I wanted to get out of my car and give that guy a hug. I was just like, dude. And then after that, because when you see something, you start noticing things a lot more. I noticed that everywhere after that. Like any car that was like behind, really close to a car, they just turned their lights off. And I was like, wow.
Just common courtesy.
Yeah, just common courtesy over there. Yeah. So that's just some of the very minimal things compared to the amount of, things that culture shock that you'll get from Japan.
Just when you go to Japan, you don't realize like how everyone in Australia is just a piece of shit.
Fuck.
It's so true, bro. Like you walk around the city in Australia or Perth, Melbourne, wherever, and you're just like, man, fuck everyone. Like everyone's so rude. So then you're gonna be more rude as well. You go to Japan and you're just like, bro, like there's literally 1,000 people waiting to cross this this intersection, and you don't bump into a single person.
Yeah, they do it so well.
Oh man!
The train station,
and then you come home and like there's no one around, and yet someone bumps into you, and you're like, "What the fuck, bro? Look, the path is 6 meters wide. Fuck off." Yeah,
all this kind of shit.
Yeah,
dude. Like
it's the small things, bro. Like when you're on the train, everyone is so courteous. Like everyone lines up to get into the train. Like I remember I was standing there just in a random spot, and I'm like, look to the left of me, and like people are actually lining up, and I'm like, holy fuck, we are the rude foreigners that just don't know the small little things.
Intricacies.
Like there's just a line. Like you don't see the line, because we have lines in our train stations that we don't give a fuck about, but they do.
Yeah.
You don't talk on the trains. You seem rude if you talk on the trains, like not staying left and bro, like they're the things that everyone knows, but I'm sure there's a lot more that I need to learn.
Yeah, there would be so much more, and it's just like every time I go there, it makes me feel like I want to become a better version of myself for some reason. I don't know, like because you're surrounded by that, you're like, fuck, stop being a dickhead, like
stop being so rude. Stop being rude. You're so used to being rude at in Perth or Melbourne or wherever. You're so used to it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's affected me in a positive and a negative way, because like you guys are saying, like when you come back here, you start to see it all, and then it pisses you off even more. And it's just like, why are we like this? Like why is it normal for us when that's how it is, and it should be for them.
Yeah.
So
you walk around Japan and you're like, it is so clean. You don't want to litter. You just don't. And then you come home and you're like, fuck this. Just throw it on the floor, because everyone else is.
That guy doesn't care. Why should I care?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, nah.
We need a culture change, everybody.
It's a full culture shock. So anyone listening that hasn't been to Japan, get to Japan. Trevor.
Yes.
You been to Japan?
No. I need to.
Dude. Get off the podcast. Go.
Go to Japan
All
right
right, this podcast is ending. I'm going to Japan.
You live at home, bro.
Mate.
You must have so much money saved up. Just go to Japan, bro.
Bro.
You don't have any like animals to look after. You don't have a family. You don't have any plants
Do
to
you
water.
see that fucking FK gathering dust?
Oh, that FK is costing you nothing. You don't even have to pay rego. You don't probably need to pay
It's already
insurance.
unregistered. If there's any time to go, it's now because you're not wasting rego on it. So go to Japan, enjoy
True.
it, come back and register it after. You trust me, you'll be G'd up to register it after you get back.
Hold up.
Fair
How
enough.
long ago did you move back to Perth?
Fucking year and a bit.
So in a year and a bit, you've bought a bonnet.
Yes.
And he's complaining about money. That is pathetic, bro. That's pathetic.
It's called being cheap.
It's a stock bonnet that
I'm
you're
a
looking
wog,
at.
bro. Wogs are cheap.
Yeah.
Man.
So I actually got a stock bonnet. I got a stock front lip. Got a random downpipe, and I just got to put everything in, and it should be good.
And he's complaining about that's costing him money when I've got an Evo with a blown engine.
Whose
Do you know
fault
how
was
much
that?
a second-hand gearbox is for one of them? $5,000 just for a gearbox, second-hand.
Just go to Japan, bro.
A block, an engine block, just a 4G63 short block, $5,000, and you're complaining about a fucking bonnet. Woo, brother! You live at home as well.
I know.
You gotta go, man. I don't know how many more of these podcasts you have to do with
No,
people saying they love Japan for you to actually go, but
Yeah.
I
I
hope
know.
this is one of those signs.
it is. It
Oh,
is.
man.
I've actually got my passport sorted now, so like I don't have any
beautiful.
excuses, to be honest.
International license as well. Boom, go.
Just go.
See you later.
International license, easy. Just rock up to RICV, pay a fee, get your international license, and done. Like,
That's it.
I think people think it's a lot harder to drive overseas than it is.
It's piss
but it's really
easy.
not that hard.
Well, it was like a little questionnaire online, and you paid like
Yeah.
$29 or whatever the fuck it was. Like, it was
Yeah.
under $100, and then within a couple of weeks, you get your license. And you're like, oh,
Easy
was that
done.
it? I don't have to prove anything. Like,
That's crazy.
And
Okay.
Japan's like one of the most easiest countries to drive in, to be honest with you. Well, aside from the tunnels and the roads going over the top of each other and the GPS getting lost, but once you get out to an open road,
You're fine.
easy.
yeah, it's
And,
like when you're in the city and you're like trying to find a restaurant. The GPS doesn't understand that it's like 5 stories up.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like it's taking you around. It's like, bro, this thing's got no idea where it is.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
why you understand why everyone walks over there, why everyone takes the train, and why
Yeah.
everyone's so fit. Because like it just makes a lot more sense to actually walk there than
Yeah.
try and drive, pay overpriced parking, and then
Yeah.
get to where you need to go. So
Makes sense.
It is awesome when you're in the city and you do see like a Japanese hero car because you don't
Yeah.
really see them in the city. So when you do,
Yeah.
you're like, fuck, yes, that's so cool. A Japanese car in the city in Tokyo, you're like, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't get much more.
it hits different, that's for sure. And you try your best to snap that memory and chase the car down and actually
Yeah.
take a photo and be like, bang, see, I saw that in Shibuya. Like
Yeah.
Nice. So when you were in Japan, you also went to Drift Matsuri, yeah?
Yeah, I did. So I honestly didn't even know Matsuri was on.
It just
when
happened.
I was initially planning. I kind of just YOLO'd this trip because I didn't want to. Every other trip that I do, it's very organized, it's very structured. Like this day I want to be here, this day I want to be there. Like just so I don't miss anything. And when I'm with my partner or when I'm with my friends, I don't want to seem like I'm a bad organizer and have a day where we're doing nothing, for example, because Japan's not the country for it. Like if you want a holiday, go somewhere else. Japan's not a holiday. Like
you could
gotta
be there
doing
for
shit.
6 months and you still wouldn't see half of Japan.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, you want to make the most of it.
Yeah, so this time I just kind of YOLO'd it, like just rented the car, go to the areas I wanted to go, and then look up events along the way. And if I find something, that's cool. If not, like it is what it is. But Matsuri is one of those where, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty up to date with my YouTube. I watch all those guys. I know it's bad, like they live a certain life, and we'll never, it's hard to compare and stuff like that. But it's cool to see like a certain lifestyle that
You'll never get.
you'll never get. I'm in Australia, like you'll never get. So it's cool seeing that. And then I saw that they're all going to Japan, and then my mates were messaging me too. And they're like, "Dude, go to Ebisu, man! Like Matsuri's crazy. Like you'll never."
Sorry, is this the most recent one with like Luke Fink, Adam Summit, and all them went, and like heaps of TJ Hunt and all them boys went? Oh, cool!
Everyone-
Fuck yeah! Holy shit! Yeah, because that was really recent too. Because
That was recent. It was in November. Yeah.
yeah. Look, because Luke Fink brought his AU Falcon over.
Yeah,
But then I think
unfortunately,
so.
the A Falcon didn't come in time, but that
Yeah.
would have been cool to see an AU Falcon at Matsuri, but that was pretty cool. But
Mm.
yeah, I didn't know it was on. I was hitting up a bunch of car events along the way. And the same weekend, I think I was at Mount Fuji when I found out Matsuri was on. And I was at Mount Fuji for Super GT, which is in like the GT car racing series for Japan. And I was planning to spend the night there to do 2 days of Super GT. But then I was like, once I knew Matsuri was on, I was like,
See ya.
I've already done 1 day of this. Fuck, I'm gonna go there.
Fuck the GT, bro. Matsuri's on, bro.
It was like a 7 or 8 hour drive or something like that. So again, I did one of those stupid drives where I drove through the night and then slept in some random PA. But funnily enough, like I thought I was weird. Like I feel like it's weird over here. If you saw someone sleeping in a car, you're like, are they okay?
That's a bit sus, eh?
Dude, over there, like fuck,
Everyone does it
all the time. Like on the night of Fuji, by the way, when I was coming to Fuji, I've got a photo on my phone. I was trying to sleep in my bloody K car, like flat back, and I was still complaining and stuff. I looked over next door, like halfway through the night, and there was a couple in an EG Civic with Recaros and all, and this guy was sleeping there. Windows open, by the way. Windows open, keys in the ignition, the car was on. Maybe to have the heater on, I don't know, but like I wouldn't do that here, man. Your car would get stolen in a heartbeat.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But he was like some random parking structure where I was as well, sleeping in his car with his missus. I'm assuming to go from Mount Fuji because it was Super GT the next day, and there was a bunch of like cars around. Everyone's just sleeping in their cars. I'm like, damn.
Fuck yeah.
This is the
Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Japan, right? Yeah. But yeah, so I did the stupid 8 hour, 9 hour drive or whatever it is to get to Matsuri. And I'm glad I did because it was probably the best experience that I had in my time in Japan, that trip. Because like everyone says, it's a once in a lifetime experience. Like, first of all, when are you going to see all those YouTubers in one spot?
Every single one of them was there.
Yeah, every single one of them was there, and it was like a massive hype because they were obviously hyping it up. It's the biggest Matsuri that they've ever had because like usually Matsuri is like a local thing, only the locals would go, and all the trash and beaten up cars would go. It's never had this spotlight that the YouTubers put on it that it did before. So I saw so many foreigners there as well, but it was just so cool to see everything in such a chilled environment. Like over here, we're so used to like structured track days and like strict rules with our cars and regulations. Like I get it for safety and all that stuff, but I just don't give a shit over there, man. Like
it's different over there, eh?
Like I heard a saying online, like it's like Disneyland but for like car guys, because it really is. Like Ibisu is like on some fucking random mountain that like has no proper infrastructure to hold these tracks, but yet it does. Like I think North Course is one of the most popular courses, which is where all the YouTubers had their pits. Dude, I'll legit, my K car struggled to get up the hill because it's a straight up incline into a one-way tunnel, by the way. So if a car's coming out the tunnel, you're screwed because I got to stop and I got to start again this bloody K car because you got to use momentum to get up the bloody hill.
Oh,
so it's
fuck yeah.
It's freaking sketchy.
I thought you said you had a GR Yaris, mate.
Nah, not for the whole trip,
Oh, the GR Yaris. They're gutless anyway.
The GR Yaris, I think, was like $250 a day or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
So only a couple of days.
And then everything. So I used the GR Yaris for like the fun roads that I was going to, and then any of the trips, like the boring trips, like to Mount Fuji and to Ibisu and stuff, which is just freeways. I just got a K car.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, when I was at Matsuri, like when you see some of the low cars and some of the like, because they're still flair, like when you think of Matsuri, you just think beaten up shit boxes that people don't care about, right? But dude, some of the nicest cars I've ever seen, and they were at Matsuri, and then they're driving through these pothole roads to get through to the courses and stuff. And it's like practically off-roading in your sports car to get to some of these tracks. And I was like, wow, it was insane. Like just the openness and the chilled vibe from Ibisu is just like unmatched. Like you could literally go wherever, stand wherever. They were doing passenger laps for which I fully like. My biggest regret was passenger laps. Like there was so much track time, and the locals were so nice that like there was a lot of foreigners around, and they had helmets and shit. It was like extra $5 entry to do passenger laps. Like here, it's like $30-$40 to
waiver and stuff.
You have to pay for it, right? Over there, it's $5 extra. Like what? Why wouldn't you, right? So I got the passenger lap thing anyway, just cause, right? But I didn't have a helmet, so which I regret because like honestly, I would have just went up to every local and just been like, hey, can I do a in car with
Yeah.
you or passenger, like whatever. Because like there's so
Straight
many
up to
foreigners.
Adam LZ, I'll suck
Yeah,
your dick.
legit.
I'll
Oh,
suck your dick, bro.
Just take me for a passenger lap, please. Like seriously. Because like, and that's the other thing, right? You'd never get to meet these guys in such a chilled environment because like when they're coming down, like for example, Adam LZ came down to Melbourne, I think last year for Keep It Real, right?
The LZ World Tour.
Invitational. Yeah. Like you'd never be able to just walk up to him and say hello at any of those events because he's got, you know, a plan and a schedule and, you know, he's got all his team there and stuff like that. And he's got the YouTube and the event stuff to take care of. So you'll never get a moment to just say, yo, Adam LZ, what's up? But at Ibisu, like they're just normal people over there. Like Japan, that's the thing about Japan. Like it just normalizes everything. It doesn't matter who you are. They'll look at you the same way, whether you're Adam LZ or whether you're just some random like me, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just that culture over there. But having access to all those guys, like literally, they came up, said hi, you know, met them all, and you know, they're like pretty down to earth people, and they're just seeing them in that chilled vibe was like pretty cool because like seeing them on screen is completely different to actually seeing them in person. You know, like on screen, I feel like some of them are putting on like a different persona to, you know, match or whatever their audience is, but like seeing them naturally in their own element and just enjoying driving, to be honest with you. Like people that go to Ibisu, there's a lot of work to actually get there, especially if you're a foreigner and to have your own car there and stuff like that. So you got to be passionate about it. Like you can't just be like, oh, I just want to have an Ibisu car because like that's what everyone's doing. No, you got to be passionate about it. You want to actually be able to drive. It's like 3 days of straight driving. You're not just like screwing about, you know? So
that's if your car works for 3 days.
No, that's the thing. But like they actually have mechanics there.
Yeah.
Like I think Sidex Japan or something. I think it's
but you got to afford that. If something breaks, you still got to afford it or have spare parts. Like,
but that, again, brings me back to Japan and the culture, right? Like, dude, there's so many times where there'll be a broken down car, and like, I don't know if they're friends or not, but most of the time it seems like randoms helping each other out. But like, these people, there's a lot of people that would just come on their own and just drive their own cars, and if they have issues, like everyone just chimes in. Like there's no need to be like, hey, can you help me out with this or anything. Like they'll just come up and ask like what issues you're having, and if they can help, they'll help, you know. Like over here, I feel like you would do that too, but you wouldn't go out of your way to fully like, you know,
it's a bit different,
help out. But like over there, dude, it was just like all about driving it, all about seat time, like get on track whenever you can. There was always green flags, and they were very, very lenient. Like I was actually shocked how lenient they were. Like if there's a car spun out on turn one around a blind corner and they're coming up a hill, like the yellow flag will come up like literally a second before the car, like they'll hit the other car. I didn't see any major accidents there at the time I was, and I was shocked as to how that didn't happen. But I don't know, just something about like just the chilled vibe that everyone just understood why they were there, you know, like we're just here to drive. There's no showboating here. There's no showing off. There's no like egos. It's just, I want to drive my car and this is the place to do it. Like that's the vibe I get with Japan as well in general. Like when I compare that to what we have here, like we don't have weekday track days. Like, you know, who's going to take off work to go to a track day? Like just doesn't happen over here. But over there on a random Wednesday, like I went to Tsukuba just to take photos because I didn't expect to see anything. There was a full blown track day where the full Tsukuba track was full and then the side track was full as well on a Wednesday. And the skid pan course was full as well, by the way. I went to all three just to see them all. And I was like, where would you go in Australia on a Wednesday
and say that
to have this many people like actually enjoying their cars? You know, like it just wouldn't happen here.
But I mean, you also got to, it's hard because population.
Yeah.
Japan, I mean, fuck me. Like Japan's tiny. And they got what? Tokyo's got what? 10 million people.
Yeah.
You know, so like, yeah. But like, we do track days here during the week. You just got to hire the track out and take a day off, and it's just you and the track.
It's just you and no one else.
It's just you and no one else,
which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, but it's definitely Japan's just different, bro. It's just I think different helps for all the good reasons.
Yeah, I think it helps with the fact that yes, like people there are more obviously more passionate. It's what they've grown up with. It's the culture, the way that they've been for years and years, right? Like over here, we're only starting to somewhat catch up. But like, there's so many things that you think of as a car enthusiast when you drive your car here. Like, it's so bad. Like, one, my car going to
Cops,
get sold.
speeding,
Two,
this, blah, blah,
Two,
blah.
where's the booze buses? I don't want to go through a booze bus. Three, Waze is telling me there's a freaking cop on that road. I shouldn't go down that road.
Or
Like,
I can't go down that road because it's that fucking shit. So
yeah, like there's so many things that you think of before you actually drive your car. But like in Japan, they don't give a fuck. Like I know the rules actually over there are actually pretty strict. Like they have to get their car roadworthy like every year or something like that. It's actually really strict. But the amount of effort they go to actually slam their car and make it presentable and then put it back to stock again to do their roadworthy and then slam it again.
It's just acceptance and it works.
It's crazy. Like I can't be bothered going to the garage and raising or lowering my car or even doing an oil change. And these guys are like, building cars in between years to actually just go out and enjoy them. And I think the biggest difference is as well is the generation. Because like over there, so many times I would just see like an amazing clean like GDR or Sylvia or like Datsun or whatever, right? And you're just like expecting some young guy to get out of it because you're like, oh yeah, this is our generation. These are the people that are into those cars. But no,
it's the oldies,
You've got the oldies, man. Like it's actually so crazy to see.
Yeah, like, when I was over there in the city, I seen the cleanest MR2, and it was like this 70-year-old bloke, and he was like letting his daughter drive it. He owned the car, and I had a chat with him. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just letting my daughter drive the car," and I'm like, "There's no way in hell I'll let my missus drive this thing." Like,
that's what I mean. Like, it's a passion.
It's just normal for them.
On another level over there. Like, the same thing. Like I said when I was at Tsukuba, there was a skid pan day, and there was a older couple. She had a baby seat in her front seat. It was an R35 GDR. She had a baby seat in the front. She just rocked up to the track day, took the baby seat out, did like constant laps of the skid pan all day, and then packed up, put the baby seat back in, and drove home. That's just some random lady that just came by herself. Like she wasn't talking to anyone. She didn't look like she had mates there or anything. Like she met up there. She just went there.
And it probably cost her fuck all as well. Whereas you want to do that over here, it's going to cost you $500 minimum.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. There's so many overheads here for you to just be a car enthusiast. Like
to have
you can't just enjoy your car. Like me, out of all people, like my mates know I'm retarded. Like in a way where if I'm,
we're all a bit retarded.
Let me add to this. I shouldn't just leave on that, but I'm weird in a way where I just love driving. Like it's screwed up. Like my missus thinks I'm mentally ill or something because like on the weekend, right? If I'm going to a shopping center, I live probably 10, 15 minutes away, High Point, which is like one of the second biggest shopping centers in Victoria. So I live 10 minutes away from that, but I'll purposely pick the shopping center in the east, Chadstone or something like that, just so I can get a bit more driving time, just so I can enjoy the car a little bit more. Because like, what am I going to do driving 5-10 minutes to the shops here?
Barely gets warmed up.
Like, at least if I go to Chadstone or go to the eastern suburbs or something further away, I can make a drive out of it, and pick a route, like a scenic route along the beach or something like that. Like go the long way home pretty much is something that I always do, which is weird. A lot of people don't understand it. And they're just like, why? Like, you're just wasting petrol, putting more Ks on your car, this and that. And I'm just like, nah, man. It's just like,
instead of enjoy it.
That whole argument, it's like, what's the point of having a car? It's like it's like having a missus and not fucking her for the next bloke. You know what I mean? What's the point? Just fucking drive your car. Who cares how many Ks are on it?
Literally the best meme. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's the thing. That's what I mean. That's another problem with, I guess, the car culture in Australia. Like half of these people might have just sat on a gold mine and, like the prices have gone up so much. Like they bought their GDR like 10 years ago for like
never enjoyed it though.
30 grand. And they're like, oh, my car's a gold mine. I'm just going to leave it in the garage and just, let it appreciate. And then I'll sell it and I'll buy a normal car because I don't care about cars. But then there's people like us that, actually want those cars and
drive their cars.
They're out of our reach, but they're not getting enjoyed. They're just sitting up waiting for some rich Americans, to put
25 years.
Which is what's happening with the GDR market at the moment, which sucks because the 34 is.
It's so overrated, bro.
Yeah, I know it's overrated. Everyone loves it. I agree.
$500,000 for a fucking tin can.
Dude,
come on.
I've loved this car since Too Fast, Too Furious days. I know that sounds cliche because everyone says that, but I've been a fan of the cars genuinely since then, and I've wanted one ever since. And I've driven a lot of cars, but I purposely didn't drive an R34 GDR because I wanted to save it for Japan. I wanted my first drive in an R34
But they're nothing
GDR.
special when you drive them.
and it was a shit. Like it was
They're
so
nothing
shit.
special. Same as R35s. You drive them, you're like,
Yeah.
this thing actually, like, yeah, it goes hard, but it's eh.
Yeah,
The interiors are junk because
Like,
it's a modern Nissan. Like,
Yeah.
eh.
Get this right. So that trip I rented an R34 GDR, and then on my returning trip, because I went to Korea and then I came back, I rented an MX5. And guess which car I had more fun in?
And
MX5.
Yeah.
MX5, right? And I was shocked because I was like, how? Like, you think of R34 GDR versus MX5, you're never going to compare the two. But for that time and that place, I had way more fun in the MX5 because I could bring the shit out of it and you actually enjoy it on the roads. The
And you
R34
weren't
was
worried
just-
about it.
It was too laggy. Like, it was stock. So it just felt like a boat, really. Like, it's what most people say when they're stock, right? Like, you've got to actually.
They're not that good.
Yeah, you got to put some money into it to actually enjoy it properly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Overrated.
Look, I
Overrated.
still love the car, the aesthetic, the aura, everything about that, and I get if you spend a decent amount of money, it will drive like a great, amazing car for sure. I don't doubt that, but yeah, it's just out of my reach at the moment. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the ceiling just keeps getting higher as well as time passes.
yeah, there's no point.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Let that dream go, man. I'll stick with my.
It seems like most of the early 2000s JDM hero cars, they're following suit. Like, first Evo that I bought, cheap, 25 grand, that had 60,000 Ks on the clock, MR, the cleanest Evo I've seen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now, first, the same thing, you're looking at 80 or 60 to 80 grand.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's,
I know
it's
that
ridiculous.
I sold my Evo for way too cheap. So
Yeah.
I sold it right before that hike. So
Yeah.
I sold my S14 for way too cheap as well, and that thing
Was clean.
Man. Everything was original, basically. Like, apart from all the shit I put on it.
That's just what they were worth back then, right? We didn't know that, right? Like,
No,
we thought cars could make you money. Like, my mum, this whole time, all the cars I had, she's like, "You're stupid. Cars will never make you money." Like, just look at every single car. But what would I tell you right now if I bought my S15 for this amount and I could sell it for this amount, and she still doesn't believe me?
Yeah.
But
You'll never convince people that are not car people.
No.
who would have thought, right? Like, if I knew that, I would have just fucking bought a couple 34 GDRs when I first got my Ps.
Yeah, for 20 grand. Well,
Exactly.
I was told my whole life, like, even when I was in like year 6 and 7, when I said I wanted a 180 and people made fun of me, they were like, oh, they'll never be worth anything. They're all Japanese pieces of shit. And then I bought Silvias. These cars are fucking nothing. They're junk, you know, blah, blah, blah. And now all the oldies want Silvias and all the oldies want like a classic Nissan and a JDM hero car because they're worth money now. And they're like, oh my God, this has some heritage and this aura around it now.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into buying a car now. Like, it's not just buying it because you like it. Like, you're buying it because like, is the value going to go up? Like, what's the history around this car? Like, there's all these
It
thoughts
changes
that
a lot. Yeah.
put into. So it's just like
I used to buy a car because I was like, fuck, I just crashed my first S13. I need another S13 so I can put all the parts that from my first S13 in my second one. And then, yeah, that's what it used to be like. They're so cheap. Fuck it. I need to replace it.
definitely not like that anymore. Yeah.
No, not easily at least.
Now, you know, you crash your S13. Oh, there's a house deposit.
Yeah, but it's true though. Like, they're getting harder and harder to obtain clean examples, right? So, like, if you've got one, you want to hold on to it because it's like, you know, you're not going to be able to just go to the dealership and just buy a new one, you know?
No.
So,
But they're meant to be
I get it.
thrashed. That's how they're meant to be. Because they're not nice
They're all
cars.
being trashed.
I don't
They all
care.
have it.
Yeah, I don't care how nice you think your Silvia is. It's not.
Yeah.
They're all pieces of snot.
Yeah, trust me, I know more than that. Don't worry.
Yeah,
My
good.
one is a piece of looks good from afar, but get too
It's
close.
easy to get
good.
close.
The imperfections. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're meant to be driven hard. And
For sure.
Silvias. That's the whole point. They were cheap sports cars.
Yeah. No, they just don't build them like that anymore, man. Like the new cars, like
No.
it's just not the same. Like, I'd love a Trev. You know, I'd love a fucking FL5 Type R. Like, those are amazing. Like, if there was a successor to the FK8, the FL5 is like the car, right? Like, they just refined everything. Like, the
Made
interior
it
is
a
amazing.
little bit better.
The external is like not too crazy. It's to everyone's taste. I get that, but it's just such a good car. Like, it's one car of the year from many magazines for a reason, right? So,
Sorry, is this the new Civic?
Yeah.
The new Type R? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've made it the looks wise, I think they've made it more accessible to modify it your own way. Whereas
not
every FK8 looks the same.
Yeah,
It all looks the same. It's obnoxious, big wing, stupid lines everywhere that don't make sense.
The
No
lips
offense.
from factory.
Yeah.
Hey, you're offending. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all good. It
no
is.
offense.
Two against one, yeah.
I don't care. It looks like a fucking Gundam. That's cool enough for me, man.
That's what I mean, right? It's like it's pretty crazy that from factory that they have all those lips and
Yes.
the lips
Yeah.
that they have already. Like the first thing you do to a car
Is do that crazy stuff.
It's like a lip kit to change it up, but like the FK, it's already done. That's why most of them look the same because it's like you can't improve the recipe any more than that, unless you go white body or something stupid. But yeah, the FL5 is just like that bit where you can.
It looks a bit more classy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just a bit more
for that.
class, a bit more elegant, a bit more refined.
Still grown up, heading up, heading.
It's like a Skyline compared to a Sylvia. They were just a bit
exactly.
more refined,
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's just that little bit. But yeah, I'd love one of them to be my like everything car because I do want a car that can do everything for me again. Because like I just want that feeling that I had from the Evo 10. Like at the moment, the S15, I can't daily everywhere. The EK's on club reg. There's always a reason, but I want a car that can just do everything. Not complain.
Chasing that feeling, my friend, it's a trap because there's always going to be another car.
No, well, maybe soon there won't be. When they go into all that bullshit, so
Yeah,
they don't anymore. So
yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
You have to resort to buying like a
EV.
Porsche
Oh, fuck.
GT3 RS or something.
That's the only thing left.
Yeah, that's the only manual car that's left.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't fucking complain, but god damn it, it's like a fucking
Complain.
kidney. Heart.
things I do for a manual 992 GT3, not a GT3 RS like the ones that everyone wants. I want a manual
992
GT3.
Touring, and I'm happy. I don't need a fucking wing. I just want touring. Thank you very
That's
much.
done. That's all I want.
For sure.
Pinnacle.
I can barely afford to pay my bills, bro. How am I going to afford a Porsche?
LA Autos, my friend. That's all I have to say. Sam will be proud.
Need customers, bro.
Right? Like, have you guys seen that meme that's going all over the internet where it's like, what does a guy really think about, or what does a guy do when he's
Yeah. And it's just him scrolling.
Just a Porsche configurator.
Yeah,
always.
Just like I have $9 in my bank account, and you're just scrolling, looking at Porsches.
Yeah, the same.
9.
They're like, you could sell your kidney for $300,000, and then straight away speaking out of GTRS. It's so funny, man. So
just
good.
car guy things, eh?
But hey, in Japan, there are Porsches everywhere.
Everywhere, and they drive them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
There's
surprised.
99. There was fucking GT3s everywhere, GT4s everywhere.
Yeah, so
I didn't see many
another-
GT2s, but
Yeah, another thing that I realized why they're so popular over there now recently as well is they actually have a Porsche Experience Center in Japan. I wanted to go, but I'm not rich enough. But you can literally pay to drive any Porsche, like GT3 RS, GT3, GT2, GT4, whatever it is, on their local test track, because they have a test track. It's called the Porsche Experience Center. So I think there's only a couple of them in the world, and Japan has one. So it's a full-blown resort that is purely for Porsche. So it's a dealership. It's a
racetrack, fucking full experience.
It's a racetrack. Like it's a full experience. But I literally Googled up as I was laying down in my K car overnight one day, and I was like, I think it was like $2,000 or something just to
That's
even
cheap
rock up.
compared to here.
Yeah.
For here,
Is
I think the band is like
you don't have a Porsche
$5,000.
Experience Center?
Yeah, they do have it here actually. So I think Audi does something similar, and BMW M do as well. But it's like $10,000 or something.
Yeah, but they'd probably only do that like once a year thing, whereas Japan, you could just rock up whenever the fuck you wanted. But I mean, like, I can totally understand why I'd be in Japan, because they're small cars that are punchy. Most of the people got a lot of money, it's pretty wealthy.
Yeah.
And fuck, Porsches just fit their culture, bro. Like,
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Like when I went to Japan, it's like you think of JDM cars, you think of that scene, but
G-Wagons and Porsches.
Dude, there is a massive scene of supercars, like because everyone's used to going Daikoku Futo at night, right? That's when you see all the cool cars. That's when you see all the JDM cars. But if you go during the day, it's a completely different scene. That's what I mean. Like that's when all the oldies and the
The retired films.
car enthusiasts come out at like 6 a.m. in the morning and just park up by themselves, and and they have their Lamborghinis and their Ferraris.
That's pretty cool, though.
Like you've walked around like Giza. Is it Giza or Giza?
Ginza, the rich area.
Yeah, it's just fucking Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, high-end Porsches,
just dollar signs everywhere,
and G-wagons everywhere.
Oh,
Kyoto, it was like 4 G-wagons just cruising along. I'm like, fuck. I'm sick of G-wagons.
Just
no
a
more.
fucking fleet of them.
No more G-wagons, please.
Yeah, dude, it's insane, crazy.
Yeah. Nice, cool. We might wrap the podcast there, but before we do, man, did you want to do any shout-outs to people, your fans?
I don't have any fans, so
I don't have an OnlyFans.
You got 2.
Yeah, you got 2 right here.
2 right here, brother. You've been to Japan. I respect it. I need to catch you. I need to go more.
Yeah, sure. No, just shout out to you guys, I guess. Like, I appreciate you guys doing this and inviting me out. Like, it's not often that, you can have a proper conversation about cars these days. Like, you can only talk so much at an event or things like that. So I'm glad you guys are doing something like this because it's unique. It's something different. Like,
thanks, man.
Why not, right? So
yeah, it's
just a couple of artards.
That, but it's just a good way for me to keep in touch with people like across the board, right? Because that's how I met you. It's how I met a lot of my car friends in Melbourne as well. It's just being in the scene and just wanting to keep in touch is like, cool, do a podcast as well. You catch up, but it's like good content too. So it's a win-win for sure.
It's good, especially for car enthusiasts, man. Like this was what got me through the plane. Like I listened to like the first like 5-6 episodes on the plane, and I was just like,
nice.
So it's pretty cool, but. I'm not a podcast person, like I never listen to podcasts really generally in my past and stuff like that, but it's probably because it's not what interests me, like you guys are talking about topics that, are interesting for car enthusiasts and, all the other stuff that you guys are talking about with mental health and like gym and all that stuff, photography and stuff as well. Like it's a mix of everything really. So it's interesting, which keeps the viewers tuned in, like I never really looked into podcasts, but I'm glad you guys started it. So
no, that's good.
Cheers to the 4 four listeners, man. We
cheers to my
appreciate
mum,
you,
my dad, my sister, and that's it.
It's just me, like on different machines.
Just go into Crown, log into every machine, start streaming it for us, okay? Cheers. We need those fucking downloads.
Yeah, it's kind of ops, man. There's a lot of PCs there,
We need to get some robots going.
Yeah, we do.
Get the bots going, listening. Get our numbers up, boost the numbers, eh?
Then we can approach Spotify and be like, hey, we want an exclusive deal. Show us what you got.
$16 million an episode, that'd be great.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, big Joe Rogan spec, eh? Fucking $100 million deals, baby.
How about we go to Japan, we fucking live in Japan, and we record in Japan?
Who's going to look after my family, bro?
Fucking pay him.
Fuck them. I'm going to Japan, bro. I'm going to Japan.
That is a legit bucket list thing, but
for sure, man.
I would love to just like take 6 months off. Like I've been in my role for a while now, so I've got long service leave and stuff. So
nice.
I wouldn't mind just freaking using that all up and just moving to Japan for like 6 months and seeing how.
Sick, eh?
And just cruising around.
You hear good and bad things, Like we as tourists only see the good stuff,
Yes.
You hear a lot like about people working to their they die, like they literally fall asleep on the street.
Right?
But I mean, if you're going to live over there as like a sort of 6 month holiday, that ignorance is bliss with that part anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. It's actually committing and moving over there and relocating. Then that's another story. If you're just there for 6 months, you're still pretty much on a holiday. But you're right. Like, dude, in which country do you see like older generation working at Macca's? That's not possible. Like over here, you're 16, you're 15, you're getting your first job, you go to Macca's,
Macca's, IGA, stock and shelves.
Yeah, and then you move through the ranks, then you get a career, and then that is what it is, right? But over there, like you've got people working at convenience stores still, like that have been there for years. You've got people running businesses that are family businesses that have been running for years as well. So it's just like
it's very different.
It just keeps going.
For sure. All right, all good. Appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Appreciate it, Huey.
Cheers. See ya.